Alan, what do you think? Is Cameron really bisexual or is he lying?
Definitely a lie. Hard lie.
Definitely 100%. A lie. Yeah. All bisexuals are untrustworthy.
That's a good platform for you to run on. Alan Henderson, Cameron Kasky is lying about his sexuality.
Hey, everybody. I'm Tim Miller.
I'm Cameron Kasky, and today we are joined by the future mayor of Tampa, Florida, Mr. Alan Henderson. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
I'm great. Tim, how's it?
How's you?
I'm great.
I'm pretty good. I wouldn't say that I'm refreshed. If I'm being honest, sometimes you come back from vacation, you're like, man, that was nice. I'm ready to hit the ground running. I got a to-do list, and I'm kind of like, I want to go back to Spain. So, I don't know. That's okay, though. I'm surviving. No, I don't. It's not like working in a coal mine over here, and I'm just sitting in my hole talking into a mic.
It's a very interesting thing because the thing that went crazy when you were away was the Epstein files, and it's still just as crazy, if not even crazier today. Right. So while you missed kind of the beginning of the new chapter of the Epstein saga, but just the beginning.
It's kind of how I feel, and everybody take that. If you're a listener, this is a pre-mailbag advice from us. If you need to take a week off, shut down your little Apple News. Not you, Alan. You're running for mayor. But the listeners, shut it down. Shut down X.com or Blue Sky or whatever you're on. Take a break. The Epstein scandal will still be here when you're back.
Or a new one will be in place of it in the next week. So
yeah. All right, Alan, tell us about yourself. First date, kind of rapid fire type stuff. Who are you? Why are you running for mayor? How old are you? You're 24 and a half?
I just turned 24 in February.
Just turned 24 in February. So almost not quite 24 and a half yet. And you want to be the mayor of one of America's worst cities. We'll get to that in a second. But talk to me about how that came to pass.
Well, I appreciate the platform. My name is Alan Henderson. Like I said, I'm 24. Born in Tampa, raised in Tampa, and I've had sort of the privilege of seeing both sides of life in our beautiful city. It's no Los Angeles, but Tampa has been kind of growing, and I feel like we're growing at a pace that is leaving some people behind. And I've always just felt like having the perspective of someone who's seen, the rough side of Tampa, where you're kind of having to, deal with bills and energy costs and that whole thing.
Where's the rough side of the tracks in Tampa? What part of town
is an interesting question. It depends on sort of the issues, I suppose. But there are some parts of the city that don't get a lot of attention and a lot of investment, as say like the waterfront or downtown. So I would say anywhere that's not our Riverwalk or the parts that get pictured in brochures definitely feels the lack of investment.
Well, I need a little more Alan color, though. You went into politician mode. That's nice. You're a politician now. You got to do that. But what is your deal? Like, you're in eSports. You're an entrepreneur. Like, what are you doing? What's happening? What was going on in your life?
I started in eSports. I started my first kind of YouTube channel back in 2016, and really even before that, I was role playing as a police officer in GTA, and so that kind of took off and.
So you could very well be the first mayor of Tampa who pretended to be a cop in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. that would be. I'm gonna add that to my to the plaque if I get it.
Is that like a furry situation?
I hope not.
What does role playing as a cop mean? What does that mean? Role playing as a cop? Were you batoning?
We had like a little group on. This is on PlayStation now, and basically we were the largest clan, the largest group. On PlayStation, I know you got to be careful with that word.
C-L-A-N. Crew. In New Orleans, we call it a crew. I know something
definitely called a crew. Yeah. We were the largest crew on PlayStation. And it was just basically people who didn't want to rob the stores and shoot everybody up, but it had codes. I think we had at the peak somewhere around 600 members. Which on PlayStation back then was pretty good. And so I learned pretty early, leadership and organizing that many people. And that's sort of what's carried me, I suppose, through where we are today. I started and still in the gaming world, an eSports team. Those guys, they ended up 3 world records. We had 122,000 subscribers, partnership with Champion, G Fuel. And it just kind of gave me sort of leadership.
3 world records in what?
Call of Duty, all 3 of them.
So this is very interesting because, first of all, the content creator to mayor of a large city pipeline is starting to give me some ideas.
Okay.
I'm starting to plan some things. I'm starting to think that Yes We Cam would be a great campaign slogan.
Parkland? Do you have to move home to Parkland to do that, or what are you thinking about?
Oh no! I'm talking New York City, baby.
Okay, right. Well, sorry, we've already interviewed the prospective mayor of New York City.
We haven't had Eric Adams on yet, but anyway,
that's crazy.
So for people in our audience who might not be GTA heads, Grand Theft Auto is a very famous video game that caused a very big moral panic with parents, the same way that Dungeons and Dragons did during the Satanic Panic. They were very disgusted by the fact that it's a game where you kind of run around the city shooting people up, killing people. You know, you can kill prostitutes, you can do things like that. Grand Theft Auto, I'm not a video game guy, but it's a very fun video game. It's very cool. There's a movie called Grand Theft Hamlet where people recreate Hamlet in Grand Theft Auto, and it won a bunch of awards. But what Alan is saying to us is that leadership skills were developed by creating basically a police union on Grand Theft Auto, where instead of running around killing hookers, you are actually enforcing the law. So I guess to the people
order.
To the people in our generation who talk about defunding the police, as somebody who has organized police officers in the video game Grand Theft Auto, what do you say to that?
Well, what's interesting is a lot of the people in our community were police officers. And so growing up, I actually had a pretty polarized view of law enforcement. I had a thin blue line flag up in my wall. I was like super pro police. Absolutely. And it took kind of growing up and following politics more to learn that there's two sides of every story. And the sort of more nuanced view you should have of police is to respect them. You respect the job they do, respect the individuals, but then hold them accountable, right? Have a high standard for the law enforcement, for your community. And I felt like that's a good balance.
Were there ever any ethics violations with the cops in your Grand Theft Auto police unit?
Plenty that if they were applied in real life, by the time you're pulling out RPGs and, blowing up other cars, that might count as a ethics violation.
Alan, my spidey sense is tingling. Were you, like me, a high school Republican? Was your thin blue?
I wouldn't say
flag?
Republican.
Were you
just pro law enforcement?
Okay.
Like very heavily. That was just my world.
Okay, just a Joe Biden Democrat, strong pro law enforcement Democrat.
Perhaps.
Yeah, 1988 Joe Biden, I guess. All right, so I have an esports question. So you're an entrepreneur. You started an esports squad, so you're like the Jerry Jones of the esports squad. Like are you a player owner or
no? Just an owner. I'm actually probably the worst gamer in the entire org.
And then people sit around and like watch other people play Call of Duty. That's essentially what's happening
for us. Largely, Siege is what really got the ball rolling. But Call of Duty, Siege, Fortnite, Apex Legends for a while.
So it's just like dudes just kind of sitting around, like watching other dudes play video games. Like that's the gist of esports.
Not too different from politics. It's a lot of, not too different. It's a lot of back and forth, a lot of, crews and clans. The clans, we got to.
Shit talking.
We're done with clans.
A lot of shit talking.
But yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of like how we have crews of dudes sitting around watching us trash talk right now, but they were just like sitting around watching guys talk, but like also, gapping people in the video game.
I'm so curious. I know a lot of gamer types, some from high school who used to say racial slurs when they were playing video games. Others, like former guest of the show, my dear friend Mooch, who plays video games a ton, but is super woke. Do you guys have like a woke code of ethics in your esports team? Or do you think you've got some kind of like manosphere alt-right types playing with
When I got into politics, it started the culture started to change a little bit. Now, like they send out memos about what people can say and what they can't say. But previously, just the kind of people in our group, by itself usually doesn't lean too crazy. So we try to manicure that a little bit.
I feel like that's what Gen Z Tim Miller was doing when he was like 28, is writing woke codes of ethics for esports teams.
I don't think that's
Tim
right.
Miller is older than 28. You could have fooled me.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I appreciate that, Alan, because I had some lady, and that's right, I'm calling you a lady, comment on the YouTube talking about how she was looking at an older interview I did with Julie K. Brown a year and a half ago, the great Miami Herald reporter who uncovered Jeffrey Epstein. And she commented about how much younger I looked in this interview and how much I've aged since she's been watching me on YouTube. I just want to say that is unappreciated. And Alan's feedback about how I look is appreciated. So I'd encourage that if you're going to comment in the future.
I said this to somebody this week, Tim. I forget who I was talking to about you, but I said, Tim looks like a 35-year-old who hasn't slept in a year. That's my compliment on your appearance. You look like an exhausted 35-year-old.
Don't believe that, Tim.
I don't like that at all, actually. That's not great. That's not a compliment. That's not a compliment.
That's such a compliment.
I look like a sleepy 35-year-old, a dead, exhausted 35-year-old.
35 is so young. 35 is like the new 25.
Maybe I am 35, Cameron. Okay. All right. Moving on. I have a question for you about the isolation of young men. As an eSports owner, are you concerned at all about that? You're going to run for mayor of Tampa. Like, how are we going to, get people out into the community, meeting other humans, engaging, trying to, stop the radicalization pipeline? Do you have any big thoughts on that?
Yeah, ironically, esports and the sort of gamer demo is a pretty good front row seat for that culture, as you can probably imagine. I think for both men and women, mental health is a pretty big deal. And probably just getting offline in general is probably pretty helpful nowadays. So certainly wanting to be able to kind of curate, fun, energy downtown, invite people out to, events, and that whole world is a big part of our platform.
It's like block party culture. What's the block party culture like in Tampa?
I was going to say, I figured Tampa could use a mayor that knows how to throw a few parties. That's sort of also a part of my journey is marketing. I realized marketing an esports team, you can kind of market a lot of things. A lot of the principles carry over. So I got into event management, a little bit later. And so we threw a few parties, threw a pretty big party just at my house, retrofit everything, turned it into a hookah lounge, supercars, food trucks. It was pretty good. And that sort of kickstarted, learning and leading those kind of events.
Hookah culture gets you out into the public because, you have multiple people pulling on the straws. My only problem with hookah culture is that I worry about cold sores.
You have to get the disposable,
kind of as a germaphobe
tips.
Yeah, you're kind of sharing that straw with other people. Have you ever hookah'd, Cam?
Yeah, I hookah'd once. It wasn't enough nicotine for me. I was just like, somebody get me a cigarette. But dude, Eric Adams is the mayor of literally the Islamabad of America, New York City. Yeah, and he goes to hookah bars with belly dancers all the time. So you're on the right track, dude. Question for you. Like, I've got a brother who lives near Tampa, and something that was really concerning to us, I believe it was last year, was that really, really like disastrous hurricane that was just pounding through the west coast of Florida. And part of me is like, I don't really know who your opponents are. I've got some questions about that, but like, as somebody who's running for mayor of Tampa on the platform of this kind of esports entrepreneurial background, what do you say to people who are like, why are you the candidate who can best handle climate disaster in Tampa? I
appreciate that. That's a great question. I feel like in order to do the role really well, you need to understand both people and policy. I think my people experience is something that's growing. I've had that side of Tampa. And then policy, I'm learning it at Harvard. I'm studying it right now. And I think that what the best mayor can do. So
is there a Harvard in Tampa?
Remotely.
Or you're going back and forth between remotely? I didn't know that Harvard did.
They do. The Cambridge guys will tell you they have it much harder, but the classes are still pretty expensive. So.
Got it. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. I think you have to understand both in order to do the job. And I think for me, what I find to be sort of the value proposition in my case is not coming in assuming that I have all the answers to, these questions, but being able to ask the right questions at the top of leadership, being able to, go to the environmentalists. We have USF right here in our backyard and ask them University of South Florida rather, what can we be doing, from a local leadership perspective, to be making our climate more resilient, to make our streets more flood proof, to make disasters which are becoming more and more predictable. How do we accommodate for that? And I just felt like having that as a priority is a pretty good start, considering the other candidates, aren't really. They're more focused on how they can extrapolate money from the insurance providers.
After the disaster in Texas, I feel like there's a lot of questions that I would be asking as a local leader about, weather detection, sort of how, whether or not the government services that exist to be able to predict these things are working efficiently. And especially in a state like Florida, where you've got DeSantis's governor, I would be super concerned about that. Do you think as mayor, you would prioritize streamlining all the systems of communication?
That's day one mission. We have what we call the City Sync Initiative. And that is to kind of unify all of the important services that we need to reach people-facing services, on one really clear platform. Right now in Tampa, it's a little bit fractured. If you are in a hurricane zone, you don't really know how to get out of it. We have this kind of convoluted tagging system. And I feel like just in a day and age where you can get a notification on your phone that says like, hey, you probably should leave the city. For us to not have that, being leveraged as much as we should, this doesn't seem like, it seems like a missed opportunity. I feel like that.
What do you think about Ron DeSanctimonious?
Oh, that's a great question. I think as someone who, for at least the first bit of my term, I mean, I don't know what I'll have to inherit with him. So I want to be kind of cautious of that. But I would say broadly,
you don't want him targeting.
Yeah, definitely you don't want that. I don't want him targeting Tampa. I don't really, me. Yeah, it's fine. But I would say broadly, I feel like in leadership, and you have that platform, there's so many things that you could be doing to improve the lives of the people in your state. And when you're running around, championing Alligator Alcatraz and you're trying to be president, like what has he actually been doing is my question. So I just think he's not the kind of leader that I would try to take notes from.
All right. I want to get back to my comment from earlier about why you'd want to run for mayor of one of America's worst cities. So I've kind of a short list of Tulsa, Tampa, Indianapolis, and Boston. That's my top 4 worst cities in America. And so I don't know what do you have to say to that? How
can you pitch Tampa to people?
Tampa is kind of a young crowd, so maybe you wouldn't like it. I don't know. No, I'm just teasing. Oh, no, nothing. No, Tampa's growing. Tampa is young energy, young professionals. Actually, you probably would fit right in. 20 to 35 is the major demo. People studying at college. We have USF here, University of Tampa. Healthcare industry is huge here. And it's for, we're at a place now where everything that you want in the city, aquariums, zoos, theme parks, beaches, everything that you probably want out of a Florida city, Tampa has. And we just need a mayor that can help us connect the dots a little bit. I think we have a branding issue, largely.
Yeah, well, because I saw a study that said that Tampa had the highest per capita number of tramp stamps of any city in America, and I don't know if that's true or not, but if that's something you can leverage from an economic development standpoint. But what do you think?
We should tax them.
That you tax them? Tax the tramp stamps
absolutely.
A little higher? Yeah, get some revenue. That's
Tim,
smart.
I'm so with you on Boston. The other cities, I've been to all the ones you mentioned, but Boston is the one where I'm really on the same level as you. I think
the worst big city in America by far.
It's so awful and freezing and racist and terrible. Yeah. But what would you say are what's your quintessential gripe with Tampa? Where did Tampa touch you?
With me?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I can get a yummy avocado toast in Tampa. I feel like it has all of the bad parts of Florida, but it doesn't have kind of the Latina Fantastica kind of Haitian elements that you get of South Florida. I'm kind of like, if I'm going to be in the trashy South, I kind of would rather just be on the Panhandle and just be fully redneck than kind of like a redneck hybrid in Tampa. That's my take.
My grandpa lives in the old Mac Gates district in
that's red.
Pensacola. Alan, quick question for you. I don't know how far Tampa is from Alligator Alcatraz, but what would your stance be on ICE raids happening in your city?
Fortunately, I just don't think we need that energy. people respect law enforcement here. Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office is pretty respected. Like, I just don't know, other than like for divisiveness and politics, why you would, you know, start to drum up, like sending people into churches here, sending people into schools. Just seems like a pretty poor use of resources.
So you don't think it'll happen?
Not that I don't think I wouldn't put anything past this admin, to be fair. But at least my stance on it is that our police should probably be doing their job, not ICE's job.
Yeah. What about the sanctuary city of it all, though? I mean, I think that's really where the question comes in, is like whether you end up getting into conflict with the administration because they're sending in people over the, you know, outside of the city.
Yeah, it's probably, I mean, it'll be tough if they start doing that, tough not to get into conflict with them. You know, I think at least as far as what I'll be, you know, doing, which is appointing a police chief that respects kind of community policing. It'll be, you know, building trust with the community. You don't want the people running around afraid, including immigrants, running around afraid of police, and they don't report crime. They don't, you know, go out like this. That's not the kind of city that Tampa should be. I don't know if I would go as far as using the language sanctuary city. I think that's going to put a target on the city's back. But like, if we have a budget and we have a kind of clear goal, it should all be going towards just keeping the people safe.
All right. So if we're putting you on a trajectory in your mayorship from friend of Cameron, Zohran Mamdani, on one end of the spectrum, to like friend of Tim, the only successful never Trump politician in all of America, the Republican mayor of Oklahoma City, David Holt. You know, where on the spectrum from Zohran to David Holt would you say that you fall? Ooh. With the Zohran being a 1 and David Holt being a 10. Now, obviously, there are more MAGA Republicans that are off the chart, but we're not gonna include them in the exercise.
I would say I probably am pretty close to where Tampa is, and probably say maybe a 4, right? Maybe a 4.
Okay.
Maybe.
Why is that close to where Tampa is?
Well, because I think Tampa, like we have I'll tell you how close the margins are. Right now, the most recent data I've seen shows we have just 3,000 more registered Republicans in our city than Democrats. And historically, Tampa's leaned pretty blue. So we're kind of now at this place where it's like, okay, if young professionals are moving in, they're attorneys, they're doctors, you know, they're pretty affluent. They have pretty clear expectations about, you know, what kind of city will cost them money and what kind of city will help them continue their career. And so I think like maybe fiscally, you know, I want to keep people, you know, give as much money back to them as possible. I'm not planning any crazy tax hikes. I've sustained the budget where it is. Pretty pro law enforcement when they do their job right, but I'm also super accountability and transparency. And so somewhere in that mix, I just feel like you have just a pragmatic, issue-focused candidate that really kind of just laments like politics and, you know, the showmanship of it all.
So who's your toughest competition?
We have well, he's not an incumbent, but in our city, you can be mayor 2 terms consecutively, but then run again. And so we have, at least he's kind of floating the idea that he's going to run a previous mayor that's thinking about getting back in the race.
Okay, what's his name and why shouldn't we vote for him?
Well, he hasn't announced this yet, but his name is Bob Buckhorn. And I don't think you should vote for him, not because of any personal reason. Actually, he was a pretty nice, you know, candidate. I'm learning that all politicians are kind of nice, though. But I don't think you should vote for him because
to your face.
Yeah, to say at least to your face. I don't think you should vote for him because it's exactly his policies and his plans that have contributed to this sort of what I call 2 Tampas, right? Where you have the riverfront, the downtown, the brochure-ready skyline that they invest heavily in. That was his whole. Matter of fact, they just named a building after him like 2 weeks ago, the Bob Buckhorn Riverfront Center or whatever. It's that type of ideology that like undercuts investments and you know, emergency management infrastructure, climate resilience, the things that also like really make a city a great place to be in or live in, rather, not just be in. He's sort of disprioritized. And I don't see why he wouldn't continue that same exact trend.
Bob Bookworm, you fucking nerd, if you're watching this, don't even bother. All right?
It's like, you've got a statue already. You've got a statue already. How much more does a man need?
Go read A Tale of Two Cities to take a look at your legacy. Great book. You ever read A Tale of Two Cities, Tim?
You know, like while you were fucking still drinking out of a bottle. So it's been a long time. Yeah.
Banger.
I was going to say something a little more lewd, but what else? I've got some other national politics stuff. Do you have any other Tampa material, Cameron? Before we moved on?
No, I'm ready for this Bob guy to watch this and fuck off and learn how to manage his own Grand Theft Auto police union before he tries to come back and further divide the great city of Tampa.
At least
that's tough. So we had one of our past candidates, I guess we should say, had a loss last night. We're taping this on Wednesday.
Oh, Deja.
So, it's a challenge for Zoomer candidates. She was running against a Nepo baby in the Tucson, Arizona district. Deja Fox was.
Friend of the show, Deja Fox, friend of mine, after receiving the king-making David Hogg endorsement, was unfortunately not the victor in her primary campaign. I think it is really special that she was able to win 20% of the vote at the age of 24. That is not nothing. That is a pretty remarkable achievement to win 20% of a special election at such a young age. So Deja, we shout you out. We admire you. You slayed with that. And I hope you get a chance to rest. But yeah, that leaves Kat standing. I don't know what other Zoomer candidates we've got.
Kat Abu Ghazaleh. So Alan, you got to learn some lessons. I've got, before we get to the other national stuff, can you talk to us about your background there? You seem to be in a kind of the back room of a strip club or something, with a patriotic strip club with the purple lighting. What's that?
Patriotic strip club is a pretty good descriptor. No, it's just, this is my room. It was eSports ready before it was politics ready. But it's got the American flag, some awards. But I just think that the place when you're at HQ, it should kind of feel like however you want it. Something conducive to work.
Purple. Well, just in case it doesn't happen for me, I want to kind of give you a little bit, some reps here as a content person, as a content creator, and this is the kind of things that we're going to have to engage with. I don't know how much Fox you're watching, but there's an interesting discussion on Fox yesterday that I want everybody to react to. Greg Gutfeld, who's about 5'3", and he has a late night comedy show on Fox. He also appears on The Five. He had a little material he was testing out yesterday live on cable. I want everybody to listen to that, and then we can chat about it.
This is why the criticism doesn't matter to us when you call us Nazis, Nazi this, Nazi that. I'm beginning to think they don't like us. You know what? I've said this before. We need to learn from the blacks. The way they were able to remove the power from the N-word by using it. So from now on, it's what up, my Nazi? Hey, what up, my Nazi? Oh my God. Hey, what's hanging, my Nazi?
Nazi, please.
Thank God you did a hard eye there.
Greg Gutfeld, why are you being woke and saying, quote, the N-word? Say it.
Yeah.
Say it, Greg Gutfeld. Get on TV right now and say it. Are you woke? That's my take.
Alan, what did you think?
Yeah, that's crazy. Cameron actually brings up a good point. They like to kind of use this language that the N-word has been sort of it has a different meaning now, dual purpose, but nobody will say it. It's one of the few words, I think maybe it was Dave Chappelle, I've heard, that had a kind of similar line of thought, which was if the word is all of a sudden lost its meaning or whatever, why do we still call it the N-word and not any other word that they're comfortable saying? And then as far as the actual substance, the Nazi thing, I don't know what world it would be a badge of honor to be branded as a Nazi or even call each other a Nazi or since when has that been an acceptable, reality, to anyone? So even if they were fed up with it, why would they own it?
Yeah, there's some limits to the parallel, I guess I'd point out. For example, the N-word was a slur, targeting black people. That's why it was bad. It was people were being mean to black people, targeting them, and then black folks were trying to, co-opt it. It's more akin, not completely akin, obviously, but more akin to the F slur, which I like to say, but I can't say on here because they get demonetized by the woke overlords at YouTube. But in the case of the Nazi, that was not actually a slur targeting conservative white people. That was the name of a political party that exterminated the Jews. So that was like an active organization that branded itself with the name Nazi, that gave themselves that name. And so like the parallel for me isn't really quite working.
Republicans play so victim when we draw very, very clear parallels between this administration and the Nazi Party in the way that they did their politics, the way they conducted their politics. But then a Democrat will say something along the lines of, we should invest more in these government services to improve quality of life. And they'll call you a communist. And it's like, hey, you know, you're comparing us to Stalin and Mao. We just want a certain amount of the state's budget to go to hurricane detection. But you're calling us communists. And then you're fucking being crybaby about us calling you Nazis when you're using the same language, the same rhetoric, the same tactics, the same secret police force, the same concentration camps. Go cry me a fucking river. You're such babies. And look, there is a conversation to be had about words that have been stripped of their meaning. People say gaslighting when they're talking about somebody lying. I've been called a gaslighter for a lie of omission. Mind you, it was a really bad lie of omission. But that was not gaslighting.
Well, that was a lie of omission. Was this a
Nothing I'm
relationship
going to say
thing?
on the show.
Was this about your show? Well, if you said it on the show the first time, you have to say it now. But if this is more about your personal relationship, you can keep it private.
This is a personal thing. Live omission, big one on my part. But I was called a gaslighter, and it's like, no. And thank God I'm not a gaslighter, because let me tell you, I would be really fucking good at it. Thank God I am not like that.
I've been thinking about just listening to your rant there, Cameron, and I think you're right. They are sensitive, but I don't want to discourage them. My takeaway is I think we should encourage Greg. I kind of think he's on to something. I think he should walk around saying, yo, what's up, my Nazi, to other people. Maybe he has a future rap career he might want to start. He could like do a song like Nazis in Paris, something like that. And
what happened when the Nazis went to Paris?
I think he would do. I think that'd be really great. I think it'd help people. It'd clarify things for people, and that's nice. And I'm looking for clarity.
While I'm on my rant grind, let me drop you another one. All Greg, right. Bitch, you aren't funny. They say that comedy can only exist in the conservative world right now. We have seen time and again with stand-up comics like Dave Rubin and stuff like that's not true. And conservatives are very often getting more triggered by shit, like seeing Superman and saying that it's woke because he's an immigrant and brown children who are unarmed shouldn't get shot. But conservatives are so anti-comedy and they're not funny. Greg Gutfeld is what Fox News, who has so much money to find the funniest conservatives out there, can give us. And it's like, I'll tell you a funny conservative. Tim Dillon. You ever watch Tim Dillon?
Tim Dillon crushes. His material
That guy's
so
fucking
good.
Hilarious. Here's a video of Tim Dillon talking about Zoran after Zoran won.
Zoran, I don't care that you won. You will never take my lifestyle. You will never take my lifestyle. I got this by trafficking drugs, women, and children. I worked my ass off, and I worked my way up the ladder. You'll never take this from me. Fuck you.
That's fucking funny. So there are funny conservatives.
He's been on fire.
Greg Gutfeld is not funny. And it's like... It's
have you ever sat down and watched his show? Alan, have you ever watched his show?
Only in clips and bits and pieces.
Not clips. This is a homework assignment for you. You want to run for mayor, you got to know what's happening in the culture. It comes on at 11 p.m. You got to sit down for 30 minutes. You get on your couch. You get, what kind of snacks do you like to eat?
Chips.
Chips. You get yourself some Ruffles. Okay. Maybe some barbecue Ruffles, sour cream and onion, whatever your flavor is. And you just, Mountain Dew maybe. And you just sit there for 30 minutes and watch Greg Gutfeld and see if you laugh one time. It is so bad. Like, it is so unfunny. The clips that go around are like him are embarrassing because it's like him trying to be funny. But like the worst part is that there's minutes go by where it's just like awkward silence.
There are like dork MSNBC hosts who are funnier in their like serious segments than Greg Gutfeld, who is trying to be funny. It's so crazy. And he's also kind of queenie too. Like, I'm sure he's done homophobia, which is why I'm fine saying this. But like, he's got that kind of Lindsey Graham type of wine glass catty gay who's always talking shit about whatever musical is at the local theater. And maybe he should just stick to that, do some Statler and Waldorf style shit talking about a play.
Yeah.
But he's really as bad as they
really
come.
Small feet.
Does Fox have any talent right now? Because like obviously it's bad. Fox is bad and everything.
Our girl Jen Griffin, who we had shouted out on a previous FY pod, our girl Jen Griffin, she is great. Which of our guests was shouting her out? It was Peter Twinklage. Peter Twinklage was shouting out Jen
is her
Griffin.
name Tarkov? What's her
Tarlov, Jess Tarlov, friend of the show, Jess Tarlov. She's on there. The one live on the.
To be clear, I'm not talking about like people who can offer quality commentary, people who aren't crazy fascists, people who seem like good journalists. I mean, like, Tucker Carlson, even at his very worst, before he started occasionally dropping a truth, that was fucking talent. Anderson Cooper's talent.
I gotta tell you, you're gonna hate me for saying this. So my Fox consumption happens in hotel rooms, right? I'm never gonna put it on in my house. Never gonna I don't want to I'm not gonna listen to it on my phone. So the only time if I'm in a hotel room, it feels like a little homework, like before I reward myself with what's ever on, Stars, before I go to bed with my little cocktail next to me when I'm away from my family, I'm like, I'm gonna do 20 minutes of Fox. And so oftentimes it's prime time. Jesse Waters can make me laugh. Like Hannity is such a hack, everything that Hannity's gonna say. Laura Ingraham is just so repulsive, like her whole her insides are reflecting in her outside. Jesse Waters, bad person, don't like him, don't want to hang with him, but every once in a while he'll say something and he'll get me. So he would be the one I would tip my cap to.
We've both been on Tommy Lahren's show.
Oh wow!
What did she just? Did she just
talent?
Because I saw that was on Fox Nation. Does she not? Does she go on Fox News anymore? Did they kind of phase her out?
Yeah, I think she got phased out. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Tommy. Alan, who to you is the most interesting and maybe fun to watch in a morbid way, conservative content creator?
Ooh, great question. Fun to watch in a morbid way. Kind of like you, Tim. I think Jesse Waters. I think I don't watch him, but occasionally he'll say something. I'm like, all right, that's pretty good. Or him and the back and forth he'll get in with Jessica. I think are entertaining is maybe how I'll put it. Entertaining.
I almost got red pilled in high school by guys like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and stuff like that. Did you ever have like a little flirty, almost red pill when you were watching Ben Shapiro own the little college libs on YouTube or anything like that?
Fortunately, no. I don't know. I just felt like something about just my like actual values were disaligned. Like, I've always recognized him as like an eloquent speaker and really great at painting his ideas. But I just disagreed with the ideas.
So you're just a good person and I'm not. Got it.
All right. We're about to get to the boomer mailbag here. Do you have anything we haven't asked you about you want to cook on? Anything you want people to know about you? Like little fun facts, something about your mother, something about a policy that's important to you, anything like that you want to share?
No, just that you guys, you should come to Tampa. It is a beautiful city. I know you've made your top 5 worst cities, but maybe top 4. Maybe with new leadership, we could change that.
I agree. Maybe we should do a live FY pod in
Tampa.
Tampa.
That would go hard.
That'd be due
they
for a live FY pod.
Turning Point over here, so you guys would be in better company, I think.
Was that Turning Point where everybody was booing Trump over Epstein? That was in Tampa?
Right here, yeah.
Oh, okay. Damn. I should have been there, but unfortunately I was in Amsterdam. All right. We can now get to the boomer mailbag. If you have a question for us and you're a boomer, email bulwarkpodcast@thebulwark.com. Boy, it gets a little sexual in the boomer mailbag this week, Alan. So just, whatever you're comfortable with. Are you dating? Do you have a significant other?
No, not dating. I can't even imagine trying to date in this landscape.
Single man, content creator, running for mayor. Doesn't need a ball and chain weighing him down.
Look out, ladies and or gentlemen and or gender nonconforming individuals. We have got our bachelor mayoral GTA cop.
Okay.
First question from Heidi, a 63-year-old boomer. It's to both of us. Cam, I don't get bisexuality. Like girls, like guys, or not sure yet. Help me understand. That was Heidi's question for Cam. For me, Tim, you are married to a very attractive man. Thank you. And have a daughter. Yet you often talk of flirting with men at the bar. Please tell me you are joking. Is monogamy dead? Cam, would you like to go first or would you like me to go first?
I can go first, but if you're on a roll right now, I'll let you go first.
You go, baby. You go. You were the first one she asked. Thank you for the questions, Heidi.
There's a line in Game of Thrones that I think really captures this, in my opinion. Hey, everybody. So I offered a long-winded response on the bisexuality question, but I'm actually going to come in right now and write over that and say, I've answered this so many times on this show. I've explained bisexuality so many times. If you still don't understand it, it's a very simple thing. Some people are interested in men. Some people are interested in women. Some people are interested in both of those things. Some people are interested in people all over the gender spectrum. Not only is it very simple, it's extremely boring. It's a boring thing. And if you are spending your time trying to figure out bisexuality, you're wasting your life. And it is so intellectually nothing. It doesn't need to make sense to you. Some people are into both. And I know so many folks who have lost so much of their life and their brain trying to figure this out. Some people like men and women. Isn't that so simple? Back to the show.
You're also pretty needy. And I think women are a nice match for a needy man. Alan, what do you think? Is Cameron really bisexual or is he lying?
Definitely a lie. Hard lie.
Definitely 100%. A lie. Yeah. All bisexuals are untrustworthy.
That's a good platform for you to run on. Alan Henderson, Cameron Kasky is lying about his sexuality.
I read somewhere, I forget what the rationale was, but I read somewhere that they were talking about removing the B from LGBTQ. I don't know. I don't remember what the...
I'm interested in that. I think we got to take away some letters. I'm for that. Yeah.
I think that there's a resentment that certain people have towards bisexuals because I think a lot of gays are sort of like, oh, so you get to enjoy the joy of being with somebody of the same sex. But you can also hide in the comfort of a straight passing relationship. And I think that a lot of straight people are like, oh, you are just kind of essentially gay, but a lot of my straight friends think that I'm basically gay, and a lot of my gay friends think that I'm basically straight, and I don't really care because I'm pretty satisfied.
I honor your truth, Cameron. Okay, we're giving Cameron. There's to be another question for Cameron and Alan next, but I've got to answer the one directed at me. I would just say to Heidi, the 63-year-old boomer, yeah, I talk about flirting with men at the bar. Isn't that one of life's great pleasures? Am I not allowed to have any pleasures? I have an honest relationship with my husband. He's well aware when I'm at the bar of my behavior. I'm well aware of his. We enjoy having a good time. And, if you were flirted with a very tired-looking 35-year-old man at the bar this weekend, I bet you'd enjoy that quite a bit, Heidi. And let me tell you, you should give it a shot because you never know. You never know out there. You might be in a committed monogamous relationship with your husband, but I bet he wouldn't mind if you went out to Ybor City or wherever the fuck you live and do a little flirting and a couple drinks and a little whatever,
It would change her life.
Just chill.
I feel like having a wife would be a good look for your mayoral campaign, like an honest or husband, of course, or non-binary spouse, whatever it may be, having just an honest American Florida family, pop out a kid as quick as possible.
Okay, I think that might be a lot of pressure. This takes us to our next question, which is more for Alan. But also Cameron. This comes via DM. Tim, I would love your help. Cameron is everything. Oh my God. I have the biggest crush on him. Is this fake? Could you help?
Maybe I submitted this one myself.
Could you help a desperate Democrat girl in Texas out? I'm in a desert of MAGA men and Dallas douche manosphere types. I'm losing my sanity and refuse to traumatize myself any further by attempting to go on dates in this swamp. I'm kind of joking, but I just had to vent about the terror in the Texas dating pool. Any advice on how to find a liberal man in a MAGA city? I'd love to hear what the FY pod has to say. You wouldn't say Tampa's a MAGA city, but as you pointed out, Alan, it's a 50-50. There's certainly a lot of, you might see a MAGA hat in Tampa from time to time. There's certainly some men who peruse Joe Rogan in Hillsborough County. Sure. What would you say to our writer about how to find a good man in Tampa?
Well, you want my real answer? Because my real answer is maybe you should try deprogramming them, which I don't know how that lands on the political stage, but I feel like lead with values first. I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was like, I wonder if girls should just start saying, like first date question, are you MAGA? And just kind of see where it goes from there. Because it, like, I don't know, it could hurry things up pretty quickly. But then I was like, I landed on, no, you should still, if you like them, and, you know, Trump and MAGA is going to be temporary, and you would hate to, like, lose out on your ideal spouse because of something that is, like, ingrained polarized, you know? But let's say 4 years from now, you found someone and everything else looks good. Like, you know, why would you let that stop you? So.
Deprogramming is one. Cameron, do you have an idea?
We were watching on the FY Pod spinoff channel. Our buddy Jack Cocciarella, friend of the show, and I were watching a clip of some online dating show where a girl was asking this guy a first question, and she goes, "Who did you vote for?" And he immediately goes, "Yeah, I think I'm out." And he just kind of awkwardly, and it brought to mind, like, so often when red voters are asked who they voted for, they get all weird about it. And they're like, "Oh, really? You're making this about politics? Why can't we just be people?" And when blue voters are asked who they voted for, they go, "Oh, you know, Kamala Harris wasn't the candidate for me, but definitely better than Donald Trump." And it's like, there's so much intellectual and social cowardice with MAGA voters where, you know, sometimes they will just be willing to say, "This is who I voted for. If you have a problem with that, you know, that's your problem." But a lot of them will just be like, "Well, I'm not very political. I'm not a political type of person." Whenever I see somebody's views on a dating app, on Hinge, I think you can list your political views. Whenever I see moderate, I'm like, okay, so conservative. It's okay. Like, I don't think moderate liberals right now, because there isn't a leftist option. It's conservative, moderate, and liberal. And center left people are going to make their view liberal, because it's the difference between being MAGA and not MAGA. Moderate is just, I'm conservative and I don't want to admit it. And I think that whether or not somebody voted for fucking Trump is a completely reasonable means by which to determine whether or not you'd be interested in them. As a matter of fact, I think it's like about as good a first question as you can ask, because it tells you everything you need to know. Sex, that's on you. That's up to you. I would probably hook up with a MAGA woman, and I would probably not hook up with a MAGA man. And what that says about my feelings about gender and all that, I truly don't know, nor do I care. But if you're a MAGA woman who's one of the many MAGA women in the FY Pod subscriber base, you are still welcome to hit me up in the DMs.
That, I think, is another data point about your bisexuality that we're going to discuss later. My advice for you, listener, think about places where you can go to meet men who are not MAGA. Not a lot of MAGA NBA fans. NBA is a good, safe sport. You could go to a Mavericks game. I bet there's going to be some boys there that are going to be pretty liberal.
Yeah, I guess I noticed that. On the NBA subreddits that I follow, NBA subreddits are pretty woke.
Pretty woke. Yeah, NBA fans are pretty woke. You could go to a bookstore or a library. Might be a good place to consider. You could go to the hipster part of Dallas. It's pretty small, I think. But, you know, you never know. You could just try to find a man who's non-political, who is kind of a working class man, and just sort of make a nice family together with that person, and not make it about politics. You could go to Austin or San Antonio. Going to be more liberal options for you in San Antonio. You could go rob the cradle and sit on campus, probably not at SMU, but maybe at one of the other colleges that you have in the Dallas metro. Those are a few ideas that I have for you. And I wish you the best.
Let me tell you, when I was in college, if like a woman over 30 was flirting with me, I would have been like, hell fucking yeah. Are you kidding? When I was 20, I dated friend of the show and FY Pod contributor Ellie Schnitt, and she was 25. And I was like, holy shit, I am so fucking awesome. Even though if you look at a picture of us when we were dating, I definitely looked older. But question for you, Tim, with the time that we've got left, like, do you have a theory as to why NBA fans happen to be a little woker?
League's blacker. I don't know, Alan. It's kind of like a little bit about that. Like, it's kind of black culture. It's more in touch with like black culture and rap and stuff. I mean, obviously a lot of football players are black, but like football is really wrapped up in a lot of like more traditional kind of Americana and, you know, high school football. Like I guess let's put it this way. Well, the NFL is still very black. Like high school football is pretty white, right? Like on ballot, like if you like did the number of people that play high school football, it's going to be more white people than black people. But even like high school basketball is pretty black, right? Like there are some white guys on the teams, obviously, and then depends on what part of the country you're in. So I think that it's like a lot kind of wrapped up in that. And I don't know. There's been it's a little bit of self-selecting. I think the NBA was more forward on, you know, social justice stuff, and so a lot of like the anti-woke sports guys just like checked out of it for that reason. So there's a little bit of that. I think Bill Simmons has a good is a good influence on this front over at the Ringer. Those are my working theories. I'm open to others. Alan, what do you think?
No, I think that's probably pretty close. I think the NBA was pretty clear about what side of the aisle they want to be on. And so, like, yeah, if you're looking for a kind of more liberal guy, not a bad place to start. And you got athletes.
Not a bad place to start. You can do it, girl. All right, Cameron, anything else? Take us out.
Everybody, he has been a police officer in Grand Theft Auto. He is single. Police chief in Grand Theft Auto. He is single. He believes in the deprogramming of MAGA men, which I believe is a positive thing because you're basically saying that spiritual redemption is something that we all can find in each other. Alan Henderson, the next mayor of Tampa, and the man who is going to save Tampa from Mr. Bookworm turning it into something even worse. Thanks so much for joining us, Alan. Everybody, subscribe, like, and comment down below what you would like Tim Miller to say to you at the bar.
Hi. What's up?